Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Liebop. Joining me, as always, are my co-hosts and friends, Tim Kalinowski and Nick Martin. And together, the three of us are going to break down a short 4-game slate for Wednesday, December the 6th. Maybe give some big picture betting thoughts while we're at it. But we're going to start with Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. The Penguins are plus 110, traveling after back-to-back post-regulation losses to the Flyers. They are an underdog on the road, Lightning minus 130, and the total of 6. Tampa is coming off of a good win against the Stars. Went out and won the game. Victor Hedman's 1,000th game. Good stuff from Andrei Vasilevsky. Still don't trust him here. I think I would look at the Penguins, if anything, but I'm happy to pass on this one. Tim, you're gonna dive in though.
I'll take the cheese. Yeah, I'm on the Penguins. I think as Nick Martin would say, their process has been better than their results, and a lot of the underlying numbers like this Penguins team in terms of they generate chances, they generate shots, and it's a Lightning team that, though I am higher on than most people because I don't want to declare them dead, and I think Vasilevsky coming back is huge, and he's just an absolute animal. I don't, he's out of his mind, and so I'm not totally down on Tampa Bay, but I think this is a Pittsburgh team that loses 2 in a row. The Lightning, maybe they feel maybe there's a sigh of relief in that room after beating Dallas. I just see that this is kind of too much of a coin flip / lean, I think, honestly, in Pittsburgh's direction for me to pass up plus money here. So I'll roll the dice on Pittsburgh, even as much as I wanted to back the Lightning after the locker room fart in front of the media.
Yeah, I really didn't have much here. I guess I kind of lean Pens. I kind of like the over too, but it feels like I'm getting burned on some of these. But I think Pittsburgh overall has been a little sharper at even strength, but the power play is such a disaster, and it feels like Tampa should be able to clean it up a little bit defensively at even strength. So I kind of see those parts of it. I'm interested to see what the Pens do here with this power play. It is a complete train wreck. I'm kind of watching to see if they try maybe taking Letang off. It's kind of funny that they're one of the only units with 2 defenders in the league, and they give up 2 shorthand breakaways a game. So I don't know. I didn't really have a lot here. I think it'll be an exciting game and feels like it could break open. And then that's the other thing. The Pens goaltending has been really good.
Really good.
What is going on with that? That's another thing that feels like it's kind of a bit of a guessing game right now with are they both really going to be this good moving forward? Seems kind of unlikely to me, but I don't know if I want to bet into that too much.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And we saw that last year. The Penguins went on that run through the holidays ish. Remember the coaches grew out the mustaches and they're like, we're not going to shave the mustaches until we lose again. And Jari and DeSmith were incredible during that span. And then both came down to earth, Jari more than DeSmith. So we'll see. I don't trust that they're going to be this good, but I think the over is fine actually when you think about it. But you are going against Vasilevsky in all likelihood, and that's a little scary.
Am I super square in saying that, you guys seem pretty torn and make a case for both teams? Seems like you're 50-50. I'm getting a plus. I'll just take the coin flip at plus money. Is that?
No, I think that's probably the right way to do it. If you were in if this was the NFL and you were in a pick'em pool, you would absolutely take this price on the Penguins, I think, more than the Lightning. I don't know if it's worth it for me. Anything else here, Nick? Tim, we good?
No, yeah, I didn't have too much there. That's the one thing I would watch if the Pens do shake up the power play. There could be probably some prop value going forward. It's crazy because I didn't think Karlsson would be that good, and he's been really pretty dominant at all strengths. And Letang is just really fallen off, and they just keep using him in the same roles everywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're an interesting team to watch, I think, right now.
Follow the Penguins beat writers for what the morning skate.
Well, I don't think they're going to change it. They're just going to keep letting Letang get his minutes. He's been the guy there for ages, and it just feels like one of those things that it is what it is.
Yeah, they've only got one line really going right now. It's not the second line's fallen off a bit because Malkin's cooled off a bit, and that's a little scary too. But we shall see. I think it's
And Raquel was helping that second line, and now it
yeah,
feels like
yeah,
they've kind of had a harder time. They're trying Nylander and they're trying O'Connor there, and it's just not working. That top line though is really, really
yeah. They're
humming.
one of the best lines in hockey. Another 7 o'clock start in another game that's essentially a pick'em. Stars are even money underdogs in Florida against the Panthers. Total 6.5. I think if I had to bet it, lean towards the Panthers. I don't like either side particularly all that much, but I do think that a prop that I have some interest in is Evan Rodriguez to score. The guy is unbelievable. He's getting tons of shots, just can't score. He put one square off the post against the Islanders, empty net, just a tap in, and he tapped it as perfectly against the post as you could. And I know his MO kind of is that he's not a great finisher, and that's fine, but I like his spot. They keep going to him in a good top six role, and he's playing. I think he's playing really well. He just can't score. So Erod as an anytime goal scorer. I think Matt Tkachuk as well, but he just keeps not scoring. And the number is way too short to keep going into there. So Nick, anything here? Stars and Cats.
No, I didn't really have anything here. Just looks like another great game. I think I mean, it's not like it's a hard take to sell, but I think we all think these teams are really, really good, and price looks completely fair to me for a game in Florida.
I think I love this Panthers team so much. Like, they are so good. They're everything you would want in a cup contender, and we saw it last year, but they're no fluke. They're no fraud. They're bringing it again this year. And I think I would be more inclined to continue to back them if their jerseys weren't so effing ugly. I look at them and I always it's seriously, it's a real
baby.
bias. It's
kind of crazy. Like, I kind of thought they'd be a bit of a fade team and then got quickly turned around on that. Yep. And it's interesting because I mean, the Erod move we always thought was going to be good. So that kind of was almost lucky because I was so set on fading them. And then also the markets were actually kind of really low on them. So I think I kind of lucked out because now they've been really, really good. And then Mikkola has been good. And Ekman Larsson's been pretty good. So all of a sudden they have 2D that I didn't think would be good that are good.
Yeah, I think Mikkola might end up being the pound for pound best signing of the season.
Well, Gustafsson, the guy who took over his role.
Yeah, that's true too.
But
yeah,
I mean, they've both been amazing.
It's crazy.
The Panthers are also. I'm looking at an 18-1 to win the cup. I'm looking at a 28-1 to win the President's Trophy. They're 7 points off the league lead.
Yep.
I don't know. I think
I don't have any problem with either of those. I was gonna say even 380. I think they're at around to win the Atlantic if you're looking for futures on Florida. Honestly, I was gonna say if you just parlayed Stars Panthers as a conference champion.
I thought the same thing
today. That could happen.
Yeah.
So, I think first glance, 18-1 on Florida sounds decent. I feel like it's easy to calculate the cup outright odds because it's just 2-1 4 times if you're a decent team. So anything better to 16-1 on the Panthers because they're gonna get in is probably reasonable because a couple of those series they should be a slight favorite.
Yeah, and I'm not terribly concerned about goaltending depth with them because I think Stolarz is fine and they have Spencer Knight too. And
I think he's a better than average backup at this point. Stolarz is. He was pretty good last year in Anaheim.
Yeah. I just look at teams ahead of them. I mean, for instance, Toronto 11-1. What are we doing? I would like so the teams in the East ahead of them: Boston, Carolina, Toronto, New Jersey, the New York Rangers. I would want to bet the Panthers in a series against any of those teams.
Not a bad take. I don't think it's a good team.
Yeah, I think so. Actually,
and they'll be aggressive at the deadline. That's just their MO.
They wanted to be they were in on Kane. They like clearly understand
they
the
didn't. They were
window
in on
here.
Kane, which showed the intent, and they didn't get him. So best case scenario,
Check,
honestly.
check.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll keep our eyes on these Cats in the big picture here. On to Vegas and St. Louis now as they wrap up a home and home. Jordan Binnington was just outrageously good in that game against the Knights the other night.
He's unbelievable.
He's been something else, man. He has been something else. Vegas is minus 155 on the road. St. Louis plus 130 and a total of 6. I don't think there's anything actionable on this trend, but I heard Boomer Gordon mention it today. St. Louis has scored the first goal in 12 of 24 games this season.
That was one of the luckiest 1-0 leads I've ever seen in my whole life after one period versus the Knights. Like they had so many hideous breakdowns, and it was even beyond just Binnington. Like it was like pucks rolling on 2-on-1, like just stuff that was just complete luck. Like they didn't do anything right. It just worked out or didn't go in.
You want to guess what their record is in games they score first?
500.
12-0.
They're 12-0. That's crazy. So,
and I think they've
only scored first less than half the time then.
Yeah, about half the time, I think, and I think they've got one comeback win.
I feel like that's one of those things that just shows how random hockey is.
So they've got one win when they've won from behind. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I took the over in that game, and as low scoring as it was, I actually still think it was a really solid take. The Knights could have had 1 million goals. I looked at like 4 different models after, and they all had the Knights right around 5 expected goals. That seemed very fair to me. If anything, I thought it might have been higher. I mean, the Blues are probably going to clean it up, right? You're not going to see that was obviously like sloppy by their standards, but they have really started to look more like the team that I expected. Like they're really, I looked before that game, and they've given up the 5th most odd man rushes in the league. I presume that went up a lot in that game. They really didn't have a good handle on the play at all, and really just some good puck luck and incredible goaltending saved them. I don't really see that happening again. I kind of like the spot too with the Knights losing at home to them in the first leg of this little home and home. I don't mind that either. So, yeah, I think this is a great spot on the Knights here. I like them. I think they're gonna kind of expose the Blues after that lucky win.
Yeah, let's do it, Knights. I like them too. It's just unlikely that you're gonna see repeat performance in any facet of that game, but Binnington was outrageously good. So
yeah, that's the other one. You could just do the Knights team total if you wanted to split your bet there. That's been working the times we've kind of suggested that. I think it's a good way to play this.
Yeah. And the one thing, sorry, Tim, the one thing I just wanted to add too about your points about St. Louis there, and I hope that a lot of the folks who are listening to this were part of the party that got in on the Andre Tourigny, Jack Adams talk before the season started when we were giving out our favorite futures and got those 100 to 1s or 66 to 1s out there. The Blues to me are such a, I don't want to call them a paper tiger because that infers that they're people think they're good. Nobody thinks they're good, but in this playoff race, I don't trust them to be sticking around. If you look at the wild card race right now, the Coyotes have a plus 14 goal differential. I guess that's inflated from last night's 6-0 drubbing of the Capitals, but everybody else below them in this wild card race is in the red in goal difference. So the Coyotes are legitimately, I think, the best bet in this wild card race as we stand now. So you got to be feeling good about that, and the Blues being
closest... the oil too.
Yeah,
but there's 2 spots.
Right. Yeah. So it feels.
It'll be close. It'll be close.
You should feel pretty good.
Well, the other thing I'd say is I don't know if people were low enough on the Blues that if they sneak in this final spot, that collects a lot of votes. Like I'm way more worried that Laviolette the Rangers get 100.
You just need the Rangers to slow down.
Yeah, because I think Laviolette's plus
easy enough.
I think that's a very reasonable bet. I'm just like whatever. I don't even want to.
Yeah,
I just got to cheer for something in this race, but I think Laviolette's probably the best bet on the board. I'm not really. I think it's going to be like 2 weeks until he's right with Tocchet as like the big favorite.
Yep.
And then obviously, I think the rest of them we've given out have been pretty good. So hopefully they do slow down. But I fully agree. I think the Blues are starting to look more like they had that small little stretch where they defended surprisingly well. And then it's really just looked more or less exactly like we've expected, except for the fact that Binnington has been unreal. Didn't count on that. But I mean, if he comes down to earth at all, and a lot of those chances, like they could have been plays that no goalie was saving. They just really weren't well orchestrated by the Knights. And we've typically seen them be pretty clinical on those types of plays. So I think they'll get theirs in this game. I think it's a good spot to back the Knights as road favorites.
Yeah, I talked about on the pod last time that I feel like I have a really good handle on Colorado. I have almost no handle on Vegas. So it scares me. And I was lower on St. Louis than probably any of us. I was calling them, a corpse from the jump. Obviously I've been wrong, and they're better than that. So I am on Vegas. I've already played Vegas because I like the spot. Hey, let's just roll the pucks out again. You got us in overtime. We outplayed you. Your goalie stood on his head. Let's just do this again. We're gonna win this time. But I'm so interested. I know it has nothing to do with the bet, but what the Blues could get for Binnington if they fall out of this thing for real. I mean, how many teams need a goaltender? And he is such a wild card. Like,
Yeah.
it would be fascinating to watch whoever ends up doing that. But listen, I'm Vegas scares me. They kind of fell asleep for a little bit here. So I hope that St. Louis has their attention after just beating them, days ago or a day ago.
Well, and it's interesting too for all the people who just like don't really believe in luck and finishing and all that, but like the Knights at the start, we were crying that they were just lucky they're winning every coin flip. They finished everything, and now it's the same team, like this unstoppable wagon. They go on like a run of shooting at like 5%, and I don't think it's a team there aren't any moving parts here, right? Like I don't think they just forgot how to play. Maybe they're a little uninspired, but I think more or less it's like you can boil it down to basically they're just on like in a slump in terms of their finishing. I mean, clearly that's what it was on Monday, I thought. So I think it's a good time to back them as they kind of and the other thing, like I try not to get too down the line of like motivation angles, but they are one of those teams with like Tampa in some of these years and the Avs where it's like
I was just about to say that. Okay. Game of the night. Really, really interesting one. The Hurricanes are even money underdogs in Edmonton. Oilers minus 120 at home and a total of 6.5. This is so funny. I actually think I like the Oilers here as a short home favorite. And it's much more matchup, tactic kind of stuff. Styles make fights kind of handicap, a pencil and paper kind of handicap than anything else. Because you look at the 5-on-5 numbers, both teams are really good at 5-on-5. We know that the goaltending, you can't trust either side. A lot of you would call similarities in terms of just like the statistical profile, even though we know that these teams do not play similar styles on the ice. But the thing that is pushing me towards backing Edmonton here in even as a favorite against a team that they just got absolutely trounced by is that the Hurricanes are in all likelihood going to have trouble slowing this offense down, containing it. I know Carolina's profile has been very good defensively over the years, but with the goaltending being where it's at, you'd have to expect the Oilers get on the board here. And Carolina's just not the team that profiles in the way that they can outscore teams in games like that. Like if Edmonton gets on the board here because McDavid's going, he's got 16 points in his last 6 games. The whole team seems to be trending in the right direction. Who knows about the goaltending? So I won't even go there. But if Carolina needs to score 4 in this game, do you think that they can get there? Are you confident enough in them to get there to bet them as a even money underdog on the road against an Oilers team that was priced with them right from the jump this season? So, Nick, I know you're on the other side, and I'm really interested to hear what you said because I think you've been pretty good with this Oilers team for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, I just still rate Carolina as one of the very best teams in the league. I actually think I like the way they match up against Edmonton. They're so hard on pucks and they're so deep. I think that's a really good way to expose this Oilers team. who kind of prefer to come at you and play on the other end. I think that, yeah, they don't have maybe the same transition game as some of the teams that'll really expose the Oilers, but they're going to get their chances. They're going to get a lot of chances, and Skinner's stabilized, but it's still one of those things I prefer them in matchups where they're just kind of going to be hiding out. So it's really just a strength of the Canes thing. I thought they opened at a slight underdog. I really liked them there. Now I think it's just Canes to pass, but I still just, it's not even like a slight on the Oilers. I just really think now that the Canes are healthy, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. It feels like they're like a couple wins below where they like would normally be, and everyone's just like almost forgetting about them here. And I think they're gonna
a disappointing 14-9-1 start for Carolina.
It's crazy,
despite having 870 goaltending. I don't disagree
and
with
some
you
injuries,
at all
and now they're
some
just
injuries,
like
yeah.
They're healthy aside from Anderson, and I don't know. I mean, it's ugly. I actually kind of think it is pretty good chance this one breaks open, as much as like, that won't necessarily be the way that Carolina wants to play it. But I just think that, the Oilers power play specifically and McDavid, they're going to like find ways to get goals. But I don't really trust the Oilers defensive play to manage the puck and handle the Canes aggressive forecheck and strong neutral zone play. So I like the Canes here. It's kind of just a strength for them. I'm high on both these teams. They'll probably be both ones I'm hoping to bet a lot in the future. I felt like I dodged a bit of a bullet not betting the Canes in that Jets game. And now
you mean the one where they outshot them 17-0 in the first 15 minutes, and then we're down.
It was the most Canes game ever when it was 2-1, 42-20 shots.
There was somebody out there with Hurricanes Knights just as a parlay, and they deserve that payout. All right, Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm really torn here. The case you guys both made for each team, both of your game scripts were high scoring. So I might avoid the two of you and just go over here. Nick, you said it's not the game Carolina wants to play, but it's the game Carolina's been forced to play. And until further notice, that's how they've had to play. In what world did they allow the least amount of shots allowed per game in the league and the 15th most goals allowed per game? It's just, and it's a good point, Lieboff, and I think it's silly, and it's it's a theme that we like to tag onto these teams because we love hockey, follow it religiously. But like from a handicapping perspective, you said that it's pretty amazing that they're doing this well despite this poor goaltending. So that's the like side of the coin that you look on, you say, this is look how bad we've been and we're still good. Like it's like a team down, 10 at half, and they're like, and we haven't even played our best football. So, that might be a reason to play on going forward here, but I might avoid it and just go over.
I think it'll be like 5 weeks until everyone's proclaiming the Canes as their like cup outright pick again.
Yeah. And by the way, you want to know a team that fits the Jordan Binnington profile? It's Carolina. Just another jerk to throw on with a bunch of jerks. I can see him.
Yeah,
I can just see him in that jersey. The contract's crazy.
Like, it's so hard to see, and I guess it's like the same season, but goaltending's so hit or miss, and it is kind of like, I think it does matter when goalies move to a new system. Like there's a bit of an adjustment. Not that Carolina's probably like a team that you're struggling to adjust to playing behind, but I don't know. It's just weird to like project that deal. Like I'd be scared if I was a GM to pay up a lot for it because there's so much. Like I don't think you'd have to, so hit or miss.
Because that's what makes his situation so interesting. Is it's such a hefty contract that the Blues, I think, would just be thankful to get out from underneath it.
Oh yeah.
So it could
which
be,
makes it scary,
and which makes it right up the Canes' alley too. Like that Pacioretty trade where they gave up, nothing for him. But we shall see. Okay. That will wrap up this episode, unless you two guys have anything else you have for, some bigger picture thoughts. But
yeah, I don't think so.
I can't keep coming on here and keep saying that Matthew Tkachuk is worth a bet in the Hart Trophy race when he hasn't scored. It's tough. So
our guy though, Tage Thompson's back. I said I'm not going to bet Buffalo until Tage Thompson's back. And all of a sudden he's practicing, he's rifling the puck. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought that was like a check I didn't really have to cash for a long time. I could kind of have people forget I said that.
Well, they'll still forget. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a much more robust slate of hockey coming our way on
Hey, this is
Thursday
a
night.
good slate. We just had a lot
For a
of
4-game
games.
slate, it's
They're all good games.
Yeah.
Like every one of these is one I'm excited
it's
to
a
watch.
shame that
which is-
they just didn't flex Islanders Sharks to Wednesday night, because then you'd have just an absolute party. But those are
Again, all
fantastic.
even
keep your
teams
eyes on those
on this
prices
board.
for the Sharks not to finish dead last.
Yeah.
If they win Tuesday, they're ahead of the Hawks.
Or Thursday, and we'll talk about that one because they're taking on another team that I think that they might have a shot against. Until then, for Tim Kalinowski and Nick Martin, I'm Michael Leba. Thank you for listening to Line Change. Please rate, review, and subscribe. And a tip of the cap to our producer Noah for all the hard work on the back end. We'll see you again for Thursday slate.